Hi, I'm Rebecca Carner. Today we're filming the third installation on my series of 4 on the 4 agreements. And today's agreement is don't make assumptions. I'm going to start like I always do in the Earth Star chakra. I've really been looking forward to this agreement, to tuning towards this, for a lot of different reasons in this COVID-19 social distancing time. And I'm really looking forward to see what comes up. I will say, in all my sessions, both collectively, when I do collective work, and or if I'm working with an individual, which I've been working with individuals pretty much exclusively via distance, I've had a really hard time grounding the energy body. Again, whether that energy body is comprised of one human entity or many human entities. Yeah, there's been a big, we're all sort of punted up here in fear, in worry, in thinking and whatever, and to just ground. So in this tuning towards not making assumptions, I'm gonna stay here in this Earth Star chakra and ground and really land this and start from a landed place. And if I stand right here for this whole time, I'm real okay with that. Because I think people are really struggling to ground, and so it's sort of whatever topic, whatever theme, whatever aspect we're working with, whatever frequency or vibration we're working with, it doesn't matter. You can't work with it if you're not grounded and anchored in something and have a route for that what gets cleared, that what gets cohered. It has to have an egress spot. It has to have a place to sort of arrive and sift and sort itself down to. And so if we can't ground, we don't have that necessary fundamental building block. So we're going to stay right here. Although it's interesting, the mere suggestion, like I came on approach that we were going to have to spend a lot of time grounding, because that's what I've been doing for weeks now, struggling to ground. And the vibration feels a little bit more grounded to begin with than what I've been experiencing lately. So just when you think you know what to expect, it's not that. So yay, may we ground more easily. May here on this Friday the 3rd of April, may we all have reached a little bit of ground and a little bit of traction, and it sort of feels like we're in acceptance of growing acceptance of uncertainty. And we're willing to establish a new norm. Maybe it's an interim norm. Maybe it's the new forever norm. Who knows? But we're kind of arriving in acceptance of that. Wow, nice. Let's just breathe through this. So not making assumptions. So when I was young, there was a pretty well-known film called The Bad News Bears, which was the story of a ragtag neighborhood baseball or softball, I can't remember, team. And this sort of ne'er-do-well of a fella became their coach, and it transformed all their lives. It was a very happy, young, coming-of-age story, and the adult also came of age during the course of the story as well. And one of the lines is, you can't assume anything, because when you do, you make an ass out of you and me. Which, you know, is a little bit crass, and it speaks to the character who's delivered the lines, personality in the movie. But you know what? It's true. Don't make assumptions. When you assume things, it tends to go poorly. And because for as much as we know people well, and as good as we are at reading situations, we're not always right. And so this whole agreement, when I was sitting with it beforehand, one of the reasons why I was really one of the many reasons I was looking forward to filming this segment, is because I thought, well, how interesting that I'm going to have to tune towards not making assumptions, when one of the best rules of thumb I've heard in this current global situation is walk around with the assumption that you are sick and that other people are sick, and conduct yourself in that frame of mind, essentially. But when I've heard that wisdom, it's used with the word walk around with the assumption. And then here I am rocking up to do this video, and it's like, oh, don't make assumptions, except we're supposed to be making assumptions. The powers that be are telling us you need to make assumptions. And in the broader sense of the word, making assumptions as a practice right now is not gonna feel good most of the time. So what does that really mean? Nice. This really opened up. And we're allowing for this stream of energy to come up and be available. Okay, so what does not make assumptions mean? So I sat with it. I read a little brush up on it, and then I sat with it some, and it was really talking about communications. Don't assume you know, and don't assume, and this is maybe even the biggest thing, don't assume that other people know what's up with you. Be daring enough, be courageous enough to communicate clearly what you need, what you want, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and then also extend that same generosity when other people are expressing themselves to you. Don't just assume that you know what they need. Don't assume that anybody knows what you need. If you're social distancing and by yourself and really suffering from feelings of loneliness and isolation, you can't really assume that the whole world feels the same way, because some people are having a whole lot of togetherness in this time. And some people are feeling very, almost cripplingly alone. Much like if you're having a whole lot of togetherness at this time. Don't assume that everybody is just as power packed into a small space as you are. Some people are alone in spaces that are starting to feel really big and really void and really isolating at this time. It's interesting, this the sun star chakra that's just above our crown chakra. People keep talking about the difference in time lately, and it does feel different to me. It's interesting. I personally have been able to get more regular and even rest than typical, just because I'm able to get to bed more regularly than usual. But the head feels collectively very exhausted, and it doesn't really seem to matter the differential in time, either the stress or the worry or the difference in pattern seems to collectively have had the effect of making us feel sort of quite tired. A little wrung out. Yeah, wrung out. The brain feels like a kitchen sponge that got really saturated with the goop at the bottom of the sink, and then you wring it out real strongly to get all the sludgy gludge that it absorbed off. The brain feels kind of twisted tightly, kind of wrung out like that. So let's just make a little bit, again, uncertainty. To straighten out uncertainty, you can't straighten out uncertain times by pretzeling your mind. Whee! All right, there we go. Oh, that kind of lightened it up. There we go. There we go. Just because things are all twisted and wonky outside, wonking the inside to try and match doesn't. Two wonks don't make a right. Oh, okay. There we go. Having fun by myself in my basement. Whew. All right. And whether you're resting well during this time, or whether sleep or any feelings of rest or calm are 100% elusive to you at this moment, just allow for the concept that there's space. Everything is doable. Things will come together. They may fall apart even more, or maybe they're falling together as we speak. Shoot, it's anybody's guess, right? There we go. It's starting to open up. It's really interesting. I'm gonna stick with the topic of don't make assumptions, but the physical body. I'm picking up a lot of pain, and it's really feels like physical pain. It feels like the exhaustion and the tension. It's a certain when you're in pain all the time, it makes a very specific kind of tired. To do a lot of yard work, or to work out really hard, or to do a lot of stuff, and you're tired at the end of the day is a certain kind of tired. But when you are in chronic and constant pain, it wears your self, it wears your ass out in a way that you don't even have to get up off the couch, and you will just be exhausted at the end of the day. And people not being able to access their regular support people, chiropractors, physical therapists, doctors, pain shots. I don't know. Some people have availability to that in this time, and some people really don't for any number of reasons. And so let's try that. Let's draw that into to today's topic. If you are one of these people that I am feeling right here, that is in pain, don't assume that people know you're in pain. That's the thing about pain. Unless you have a cast on or something, pain doesn't show. So you can't assume that people remember, like just because you said yesterday, oh yeah, my back's still hurting, or my reflux is really kicking off right now, or whatever it is that you typically get support around. Just because you said it yesterday, don't assume that people are going to remember that agony is still ever present for you today. If you need to say it every day, that's fine. Or if you need to remind people because they're not remembering, go ahead and remind them. Have the courage to say, this is a part of my experience again, today, all day. And to allow them to know that, and to allow yourself to share that. And if you need something around that, ask for it. Yeah, wow, okay, so the thing that's really asking for some TLC is the root chakra. Y'all, it's heavy, it feels threatened, and again, this almost seems cripplingly, ridiculously, obviously easy. Yeah, of course, Rebecca. Root chakra feels threatened. Global pandemic. People don't know what's coming. People are stuck in their homes. People are in pain. People are anxious and scared. People don't know if they're going to be able to keep their home. Of course, their root chakras feel threatened. So let's just breathe. Oh, God, wow. Wow, just even putting words to some of people's current states kind of whipped up this little froth of, oh, danger, danger. We will make it. Nothing has landed yet. And that is anxiety provoking. It is also a place of great potential. Because nothing is certain yet. There may be here in the States some people who in this relatively short amount of time have already, quote, lost their home. But evictions and stuff were halted, I don't know, I think on a federal level at least a week or so ago. So in this time, even if you don't know what's coming, if you are somewhere, if you are living somewhere now, and it is relatively safe for you, then just ground into that. Don't assume you're going to lose it. Don't assume you're going to be able to take it. Don't make assumptions. Just know that you're here now, and really breathe into the possibility that something will work out. We don't know what that's going to look like. We didn't know in January what March and now April was going to look like. We had no idea. We thought March was going to look like every other March, except it was going to be March 2020. And then everything changed. And we didn't see that coming, and we didn't know what it was going to look like. And that is still true today. We don't know what the end of April is going to look like. We don't know May. What? May? Who knows what May is going to look like? Ha! I thought it was going to look like my kids wrapping up school and doing all this stuff. Man, who knows, right? Who knows? I can't assume that May is going to look like any May that I've ever known. I can't assume anything. There we go. Some of the panic. It was almost like I feel like there was an expression, I feel perhaps it's British in origin, of when somebody would get super upset about something, it could be described as working oneself into a lather. And if you imagine those little tiny bubbles of old-fashioned bar soap, I guess we all know what that looks like lately, if we've been washing our hands, to work yourself into a lather. Panic often energetically has a feeling of sort of foam or lather in that same way. And just like the bubbles on the head of a beer, if you pour it into a glass, and you'll get that big thick head of foam at the top, and then as it slowly starts to decrease, you can feel in the energy how the foam, the panic, starts to subside a little. And always with the subsiding of it, it always feels like it goes down in intensity, and then it kind of broadens and eases in this expansion kind of a way. And it feels better than the kind of contracted, frothed up way that it felt prior. And the last, in terms of the 4 agreements on the don't make assumptions, it was interesting because one of the things I read just prior to starting the filming was, it said, with this one agreement alone, you can completely transform your life. And to be 100% frank, I don't really agree with that. For me, the big high flyer, bell ringing, winner, chicken dinner 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. For me, if you can be mindful of what you say and express yourself authentically, and really notice people's words and really notice what people are saying to you, if you can really get into the words, I find that for me has been the most life transformational agreement in my personal practice with working with the 4 agreements. And it really does, in that way, feed into don't make assumptions, because the assumptions is about communication. My boss and colleague, when I was a corporate coach, one of her taglines was no need to mind read. And the assumptions agreement is that same sentiment, just sort of packaged in slightly different words. No need to mind read. So I can't assume that anybody else has the capacity to read my mind, and I cannot fall into the pitfall of thinking that I have the capacity to read somebody else's mind. And that's what the assumptions is all about, is can you communicate? Which is, in fact, being impeccable with your words, or it's certainly prompting you to use them. And then the better you use your words, the better things are going to go for you interpersonally and socially amongst other people. The tone is pretty nice. I'm coming in on the left side of the root chakra right now. The tone is nice. There is just this underlying fear that I'm not gonna, the vibration is just this, if if you imagine those sleds that don't have the runners on the bottom, they're just sort of flat pieces of plastic that you sit on and can slide down a snow-covered hill. If you imagine one of those flat toboggan sled things, but with no blades on the bottom of it, being pulled by a rope and you're sitting on it over pea gravel. That's what the underlying vibration is. And in the collective field, I'm doing what I can to soothe it, but I don't have the intention of completely harmonizing that or making it go away today. Because I'd be standing here, this would be an infinity length video, because I'd be standing here forever trying to calm the collective root chakra, because we don't know what's going on. Nobody does. And that's a little nervy. It's a little grindy. It's a little, I don't know. That's just the nature of where we are. Okay. Wow, and this right side. All right, so the right side feels, honestly, it really feels impotent. It feels super underpowered. It feels it's just kind of wiped out feeling. It's all the things that we feel that we can't do. And it's sort of feeling the rub of not being able, the ways that we used to be able to make ourselves feel useful or productive or helpful or in service or whatever, those are taken away. For instance, if you used to volunteer, or if one of the ways you knew to deal with your financial anxiety was to pick up an extra shift at work, or to go to your second job, call in and see if you could pick up a shift at your second job or whatever. You can't do that anymore because a lot of people's second jobs aren't open right now. And maybe your first job isn't open right now. So all those things that you used to do when you would get nervous or when things would go a little sideways or get a little uncertain, those are sort of pat responses are stymied. They're blocked right now. And it's sort of making us feel like the winds got sucked out of our sails. Yeah. And then it is calling up for people a lot of our identity and our self-worth that was hanging on the peg of performance. When I work 60 hours a week, that means I'm a good person. It means I'm a good mom, a good dad, a good son, a good daughter. It means I'm a constructive member of society or whatever. And now I'm in my home and I can't be working like that. So what does that mean I am? Does this mean I'm a crap person? Does this mean I'm a ne'er-do-well? Does that mean I'm a loser? Loser. Oh, that had a thing. Wow, a lot of folk are feeling like losers right about now, huh? Okay, here's the thing. We're not losers. It's a pandemic. So to be stuck at home makes us a winner because we are being effective. We're having to redefine what productive looks like. We're having to redefine what beneficial looks like. A lot of people spend a lot of time being helpful by running around and being all with people and going and doing and no. Well, now the best way you can be beneficial is by staying away. Well, this is a whole new definition. Don't assume, there we go. Let's bring it back to the assumptions. Don't assume that the way that you've defined things is going to apply anymore. So does that mean that you were wrong? No. It just means we're in a whole new landscape now, where helping others means staying away. Yeah, and everybody's spin cycle. I mean, I know that's the other thing. There are some people who are actually quite busy. Again, some people are fretting so deeply because they aren't working, or they're working from home and their work is greatly reduced. Some people are working from home, are not going into their offices or places of work or whatever, but they're actually super duper busy, and that's its own kind of stress. How am I going to focus on a meeting when I can't even be in the same room with the people I'm meeting with, and my kid is hollering and playing tobogganing down the stairs or whatever? That's a different kind of too much to do, too much going on. Really, as I stand here, so I'm just finishing up on the right side of the root chakra, and I'm dropping it in to really access that, what we've cleared up. I'm dropping it back in to make it accessible to the energy body system. And on this agreement, because in the end, the whole assumptions thing was really a prompting to communicate courageously. I also offer this, which is, please don't make assumptions. Please bravely and courageously and compassionately express whatever needs to come out of you. And then the secondary ask that I have is to then be as courageous a listener and be as creative a listener as you are creative when you're trying to craft your own self-expression. How deeply can we listen to ourselves and to others in this time? Because at this point, if we have curbed our movement, a lot of us are coming pretty deeply into awareness of all the ways that we feel. So can we extend a completely open and objective ear to how somebody else might be feeling, because we cannot assume that they're having the same experience of this as we are. Nice. That really opened up. Gosh, beautiful work. Beautiful work, y'all. Whew. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the energy body. Oops. Yeah, that feels loads lighter. All right. All right, you guys. Don't make assumptions. No need to mind read. Speak and listen courageously. Stay tuned for the last segment of this, which is always do your best. I hope you enjoyed the Don't Make Assumptions. I hope it served you in this time. Please enjoy this whole series. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, or visit RebeccaCarner.com to book your own private session. I'm wishing you all well. Thank you. Bye.